Hey guys, and welcome to the fish room and a day in the chaos that is my life. I'm Rachel O'Leary, and I thought today we would take a look at sort of my everyday routine within the fish room in order to maintain all of these aquariums that I run, as well as talk about some of the ways that I try and prevent cross-contamination. Now, luckily for me, everything in the fish room has been in here for quite a long time at this point, other than fish that I've purchased from specific dedicated breeders. So the real risks of cross-contamination are very low, but I try and maintain a standard of individual equipment and wiping down my arms between aquariums, as well as not putting the hose into the water in order to just practice safe fish keeping. I do hope to, at some point in the near future, start importing, at least on a very small scale again, so it's important to maintain that level of safety so that when I have in fish that are in quarantine, I don't get sloppy with what I'm doing. So today we're basically going to look around the fish room. I do anywhere from 15 or 10 to like 25 water changes a day. Generally what I do is focus on a section of the fish room, and then I rotate through each of what I have broken down into 4 sections of the fish room every day. And then that way each aquarium gets anywhere from a 20 to 50% water change at least once, like the big boys tank, or in the case of Captain, every single day. But at least once or twice a week. And the main reason that I do that is most of my filtration is super simple, and that's sponge filtration that's driven by air, which does a great job when you have a lot of aquariums and are looking for an energy efficient solution to run all of them off one pump. But it does mean, for me at least, I like to do a little bit extra in terms of maintenance. Now, I also try and clean the glass in every aquarium at least once a week, and I only bother with the front glass because that's what impacts my viewing pleasure and my ability to shoot videos for you guys. As I'm doing water changes, I'm generally doing 3 to 4 water changes at a time, and then refilling tanks one by one. I go around and I really try and get a good look at all the fish, so at least once or twice a week I feed something like Sarah Onep that sticks to the glass. And this makes all the fish come to the front in order to eat, and allows me to get a really good survey of how everyone's looking, if they're breeding, if I have fry, and generally just take a really good peek. Now, once a week as well, I go through and try and keep up with some of my plant maintenance. This is admittedly a place where I sort of slack. I should be removing more of the plant leaves that are compromised, but all in all, I think my fish room gives a pretty good impression of health, so it's something that I strive to improve on, but I'm not particularly concerned about right now. Now, I do use a gravel vacuum specifically, or most importantly, in the aquariums that have the real heavy poopers, things like my ancestris, which spawn constantly, and I keep very thin levels of substrate in those aquariums, so I do a pretty thorough gravel vac on those every time. Some of the other aquariums where there's not any substrate, or I use directional supplemental filtration, like in the oil cat tanks that have those Sitche shark pumps, I simply change the water as those directional pumps blow the particulate matter into the water column, and it's easily filtered out. I guess about every 4 to 6 weeks as well, I pull my sponge filters and rinse them out. I actually beat them against the edge of the sink in order to clean them. It's easier and quicker, and then place them back in. After I'm done my daily water changes, I feed the rest of the fish room and sort of take note of what needs attention the most in order to choose the next quadrant of tanks to do the following day. For instance, tomorrow I'll work on the Hillstream tank, as with all my new lighting, I'm getting a lot more algae on the front glass than I'm accustomed to, probably because of the height I have the lights. I'm still fine-tuning a lot of things down in the fish room since I changed out all my lights, but I'm really pleased to report that all of my plants are doing well. Many of the anubias are in flower, which is always super rewarding. And the thing that I was most concerned about was losing the algae in my algae scape, but I am super happy to report that that tank is doing just fine and maintaining that algae. All in all, everything's looking really good down here. I did end up breaking down my Shelly tank and moving them into 2 smaller tanks to set up for breeding purposes. I was finding that either the loaches that I couldn't get out of there or the catfish were eating a lot of my fry, and it really just wasn't ideal. Though they do thrive in a bigger tank like that, in order for me to catch the fish I didn't want in there, I had to catch all the fish. So I figured maybe we'd do something new with that 75. So if you have any ideas of what you'd like to see with that, let me know down in the comments. As always, thank you guys for your continued support, and I'll see you in the next video. One last thing I wanted to mention to you guys is that I do read your comments and I listen to you loud and clear. And I saw that many of you that are here for my fish content are not particularly interested in my houseplant and greenhouse and gardening content. So I've decided to create a second channel. And I hope that those of you that do really enjoy that content will join me over there. I've also created a new Instagram page called Plantaholic100. So I'll put links to both of those in case you want to follow my adventures in terrariums, houseplants, pond plants, vegetable growing, hydroponics, and running a greenhouse. As always, thank you guys again for the continued support and the comments that you leave down in the comments section.